everyone! In today's video, I will be showing you how to measure voltage, resistance and current using a digital multimeter. This is a digital multimeter. You can see on the dial where you can turn it to measure voltage, resistance and current, as well as a battery check. In order to measure these values in circuits, you need to first wrap two wires around either ends of the probes. You will see this in the next clips. I will begin with measuring voltage. As always, I'm going to unplug the power supply before starting work on my circuit. To measure the voltage, I'm going to set up a voltage divider circuit. I'm going to use two wires and two resistors and place them into the breadboard as I'm showing on the screen now. Here are two diagrams showing the voltage divider circuit. I'm going to take both of these measurements. I have used a 5 volt supply and two 10 kilo ohm resistors. When I take the voltage, as in the first diagram, I should get a reading of 5 volts, as that is the voltage of the power supply. However, in the second diagram, as you can see, I get a reading of 2.5 volts. The second diagram shows how to properly measure voltage across a circuit. The first thing I'm going to do is to turn my multimeter to 200 volts. I know the power supply is 5 volts, so I would use the 200 volt or the 20 volt option. Then I plug in the power supply. I'm going to check the power supply is working first by putting the probes into the power supply as I'm showing now. This shows that the power supply is working properly. Now I'm going to measure the voltage across this circuit. My multimeter is again at 200 volts as the supply is 5 volts. I put the black probe in as I'm showing on the screen, and here the voltage is still 5 volts, so the power supply is working properly. Now, between the resistors, the voltage is 2.4 volts. This was shown in the previous two diagrams. Now I'm going to measure resistance. Unlike the voltage and the current, the resistance does not require a power supply to be plugged into the breadboard. All you need is a resistor. I have also drawn a diagram of this underneath. I have used a 10 kilo ohm resistor in this example. To measure the resistance, you put two probes either side of the resistor. The one showing on the multimeter means it has overflowed. I will turn the dial to 20 kilo ohms to get a proper reading. I'm getting a reading of 9.88 or 9.87 kilo ohms. As the resistor is 10 kilo ohms, this is an accurate reading. I'm now going to move on to measuring current. There is a 5 volt power supply coming into the circuit with two 10 kilo ohm resistors, one labelled OR1 and one OR2. OR total equals OR1 plus OR2, which is 10 kilo ohms plus 10 kilo ohms, which is equal to 20 kilo ohms, and that is equal to 20,000 ohms. Now we can use Ohm's law to calculate the current. Ohm's law is I equals V over OR total, so that means that I is equal to 5 over 20,000, which is equal to 2.5 by 10 to the minus 4 amps, which is equal to 0.25 milliamps. You might think that you could just connect the multimeter at any point in the circuit. However, this would not work as the current would not flow through the multimeter, enabling you to measure the current. It would just flow around the circuit with the multimeter giving you no reading. Therefore, it is important to leave a gap in the circuit to force the current through the multimeter. To measure the current, I'm going to turn the dial on the multimeter to 20 milliamps. I have set up the circuit with a space in the middle to put the probes in. As you can see on the screen, I am getting a reading of 0.24 milliamps. This goes well with what we found in our equation. Therefore, we can say that the current flowing through this circuit is 0.24 milliamps. Now you know how to measure voltage, resistance, and current using a digital multimeter. I hope you enjoyed the video.